So there's some Tenet news out there, guys. It's a little bit puzzling, too. Really is. Let's talk about if it affects Halloween Kills, because it might. Go on, happy hump date, all you guys out there. This is video number 2 today. I wouldn't count on this happening that much. It just so happens that at the same time the wife had to go out, some Tenet news sort of came up there and slapped me right in the face. And the interesting thing is the news we're going to talk about could affect Halloween Kills. So in essence, this is still kind of a Halloween Kills update. What I find really odd is, again, it goes to show sometimes you should pull the trigger on stuff you hear because it might end up being true. And I didn't think it was true when we heard about it. And it turns out it is true, and actually at a much higher level than we thought. So enough with the vagueness. Let's jump into this. But first, instead of a multiple choice question for this video, guys, we have been asking you lately if you wanted us to stream every week or every other week. You guys, not unanimously, but overwhelmingly voted for Friday afternoon streams. So we're trying to come up with a show name for that, and I'd like to try to make this an inclusive process, not just with the staff at Fandom Empire. Big shout out again to Slade for doing the new logo for us. That looks fantastic. Hopefully we'll get that on some merch for you guys soon if you want to buy some Fandom Empire merch. We'll get next to nothing out of it, but it'd be cool to grow the brand a bit. Anyways, we, the Friday afternoon streams are coming, but we need a show name. Now, you got to keep in mind that, yeah, most of these will be Halloween, but we're going to dive into other horror content, too, and even sci-fi and fantasy content. We also asked you guys if you wanted us to do sort of like a fandom news show update with other members of Fandom Empire, where once a week we jump on here for 10, 15 minutes and just go over the fandom, sci-fi, fantasy, and horror news of that week and discuss it all with you guys. A real channel show. Let us know in the comment section down below, number 1, if you have any name ideas for the Friday show, and number 2, if you really do want us to do that fandom news show. At the end of the day, we do this for you guys. I know there's people out there that are still grinding on us to get to the fucking point of our video, and hey, if you show up just for the kills content, that's great, that's awesome. I do that for some YouTube channels, but I also don't tell them how to run their channel. So hopefully those that are viewing these videos decide to be a part of the Fandom Empire community, because it's probably a little bigger than what you think it is. We are on social media and all that shit. So anyways, comment down in the comment section below. Number 1, what do you think we should name the Friday show? Number 2, do you want a fandom news show each and every week? And we'll try to figure this shit out. Let's dive into the Tenet news now, guys. So it turns out, wait for it here. So we had heard the possibility that Tenet could be backed up to September. Maybe even the beginning of October. And that scared me because, look, as much as I love Halloween Kills, a Christopher Nolan movie is going to beat it into the ground. Just facts, guys. You can be the biggest Halloween movie fan out there, and if you don't have any respect for the product that Christopher Nolan delivers, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight Rises, Inception, just so many more, and I'm stumping on them. It's a cop-out of me to only name the Batman movies and Inception. But he's got a plethora of movies out there. He is, for my money, the best filmmaker in the world today. Now, this is where it sort of comes into the Halloween process, because everyone's talking about, hey, why the hell hasn't Jason Blum or Ryan Turek done this or that, and why hasn't David Gordon Green pushed for the release of the trailer or the poster? And let's just dive into the process here, guys. So this is what's going on with Tenet. The production company, which I believe is Warner Brothers, wanted Tenet backed up to basically fall, just to be safe. And Christopher Nolan, the director, said no. The director said no. Not the production company / distribution company. The director said no. The way things work in Hollywood, guys, is the director, unless it's his own IP and is distributing the film himself or herself, has no power over that. The reason why you bring in a distribution company is because they know how to work that better than you do. You know, even go back to Star Wars back in the day, owned by George Lucas, eventually Lucasfilm, but ran their distribution through Fox because Fox knew what they were doing more than Lucas did in terms of distributing the film. And the same thing goes for Tenet or any other Nolan movie. And Christopher Nolan said no. And could they have told him, hey, you know, Chris, screw off. We're distributing this thing. We are the distribution company. We're going to push it to wherever the hell we want. No, they didn't do that because Christopher Nolan is money. He makes mad amounts of money. And you got to remember, the shocking thing about this, guys, is, and it does come around to Halloween, bear with me, is Tenet cost a lot of money. A lot of fucking money to make. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I believe it's somewhere in the range of $150 to $250 million film. Now, we do know in America, movie theaters are opening up to 50% capacity. I do know in other countries in the world, they're opening up to 75% capacity. Drive-ins are open up here in Canada. Movie theaters themselves are not open, but they've hinted that that's coming soon. Probably only be 30% capacity up here when it opens. And a lot of people just assume that it's going to be a loss. Well, you can't release a movie right now because you're only going to have 50% capacity or 75 or even 25 or 30 in some places. Here's the one thing you got to remember. Number one, movie fans are dying to get to a movie theater. Just facts, guys. I'm not talking the normal moviegoer, the people that have passion for movies, and there are literally millions of us. I love going to the movie theater. It's an amazing experience. Whether I go with the wife or some friends or the wife and the kids, it's always a fun experience at the cinema. You know, unless you're seeing certain garbage movies, then it might be a nightmare. There's hardly anything coming out, which means these movies are going to be able to play on more screens during more times during the day. So there is a chance, yes, that these movies could still make almost just as much as they'd normally make under a normal release window. And it just seems like people aren't doing the math on that. It just drives me nuts. Absolutely nuts. No one's doing the math on that. That said, it's still a risk, though. It's absolutely a risk. I mean, whenever this pandemic's going on, it's not risk-free, guys. And Christopher Nolan, you know, WB and company have so much faith in him that they're letting him dictate the terms of when the movie's released. Here's another one for you. The deal Nolan signed to do Tenet, he gets 20%. 20% of all box office profits. So if Tenet makes $1 billion, and even under these circumstances, it probably will, or it'll get in the ballpark, but I'm using $1 billion as an example. Christopher Nolan himself is going to put $200 million in his pocket. $200 million, guys, just for the director. Never, ever been done before in cinema history. That's why we're doing this video. How does it affect Halloween Kills? Well, despite what we've heard, and I'm telling you, again, you can mock me all you want in the chat if you want. Most of you guys are supportive. Some of you aren't. And hey, everybody's entitled to their opinion. All things are subjective for the most part. Our sources, yes, our real sources, tell us that Blumhouse and Universal has decided to release this movie, barring a massive pandemic setback, in October of 2020. Now, I'm telling you, nobody committed to the October 16th date. We've talked to all of our sources, and no one's saying October 16th. In fact, some people are pointing at October 30th, the day before Halloween. I find that interesting. I find that really interesting. So the movie would primarily play through November, but debut right before Halloween? Are any of us going to complain because the movie gets backed up 2 weeks? I'm not. Hell, it might even be better. But it's absolutely on set for a theatrical, not VOD. Everybody who's sitting there and telling you they've already decided that this movie is going exclusively to VOD, pardon my language, but are you fucking kidding me? Pull your shit together, because they haven't. VOD, exclusively to VOD, is a last-minute desperation thing. Now, does it mean it's not going to go to VOD? No, because it could start off in theaters for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then appear on VOD. But if you think that these guys have abandoned the cinematic experience, they haven't. Anybody that's telling you the movie will make more on VOD than in cinemas has absolutely no knowledge whatsoever of how the movie industry works. I'm not saying I have the most knowledge about this, but I can tell you I've been doing this sort of thing since 2015. I've got to work with all sorts of wonderfully gifted people, a part of really big YouTube shows or massive podcasts. I've got to talk to celebrities, go to events. I know just a little bit of what I'm talking about here, guys. I don't know everything. I can be wrong. It is what it is. But I'm telling you, the fact that Warner Brothers wanted to back up Tenet to the fall, and Christopher Nolan said no, makes me question, and I have no reason to doubt my sources, but makes me question, how hard is Universal right now pushing for this thing to get backed up? And how desperately is Blumhouse begging for it to not get pushed back? You need to remember, and we have a video coming on this in the future, the budget for Halloween Kills is more than 3 times the amount of Halloween 2018. Blumhouse has never spent this much money on a movie. It's just facts, guys. It's absolutely facts. And if you don't believe us now, when that sort of information becomes public, you can come back to this video and say, oh, hey, yeah, no, this movie was over $30 million, and then they got the rebate. They really did go for such a large-scale movie, which is risky. I'm betting if this movie is in and around the $10 to $15 million mark and they still get the rebate, guys, there's not a question, and this thing's absolutely coming. But if there's some holdup here in terms of the release date, I'm telling you, it's a Universal thing, not a Blumhouse thing. Jason Blum, Ryan Turk, David Gordon Green, Danny McBride, Jeff Bradley, all those guys do not have final say of when this movie comes out, because Universal is the distribution company, pardon me. And that's the way these things work. You know, I literally see hundreds of comments every day, and it drives me nuts. You know, it's our fault that we're not as big on Twitter, because we went through some drama back at the end of 2018, early 2019, half of our team, more than half of our team. We went from like a 9-person team here at Fandom Empire to 3, and we have steadily started to grow, and we're going to focus on those things. But most people see our Twitter and be like, oh, well, they have 145 followers or some shit. They have no idea what they're talking about. They're small time. But they don't realize we're getting 3,000, 4,000, 7,000, 8,000 views on YouTube. We're connected to literally over 200,000 people on Facebook. We're bigger than people think. And that's not to, gloat or whatever. This channel and the people that, I shouldn't say work here, volunteer their time to make this what it is, that allow me to come out and talk to all you guys, know what we're doing here. We really do. So if you want to build a community with us and a fun little brand, Fandom Empire's here for you, and we're going to keep growing, and we're going to keep doing what we're doing, and we thank you for the support. Getting a little worked up here because I'll be frank, we got a couple of really nasty emails today, and I'm a little pissed off about it. Really am. Is what it is. Anyways, guys, so to recap, Warner Brothers, I believe that's the distribution company for Tenet. I could be wrong on that. Whoever the distribution company is, wanted to push that back until fall this year, possibly even as early as spring next year. But what we've heard and what guys like John Campia and I believe it was IGN reported is that they were aiming for fall, and they felt more comfortable because more gets to clear up with the pandemic, a better idea of what's going on in the world. This new normal we all live in. And Christopher Nolan said no. Not only does he get 20% of all profits, for my money, he's the best filmmaker in the world today. And he said no. I love Halloween, guys. David Gordon Green does not have that kind of power. He doesn't. I'm sorry. Yeah, they made $250 million off a $10 million budget for Halloween 2018. That's incredible. That is way better than almost anybody predicted them to do, myself included. But they don't have the power Christopher Nolan does. Neither does Jason Blum. But because Jason Blum's not your normal studio executive, and he literally turns, $3 million, $4 million, $5 million, $7 million production budgets into $50 million profit, $70 million profit. In the case of Halloween Kills, without marketing, you're looking at a $240 million profit. The guy turns profits quicker than any other, production company in the world right now, off of very little. So when he says he's pushing for this movie to be released this year, I believe him. Could something come out tomorrow that's different in that Fandom Entertainment interview? Absolutely could happen, guys. It could happen. But my guess is it's going to stay status quo. And another thing, we've been getting a bunch of comments asking us to predict when the trailer's coming out, or people saying we know when the trailer's coming out. We've never said we know when the trailer's coming out. We've said what our sources have hinted at it might be, but they don't even know. I love to God, I love, the three people that really help us drive Halloween content on this channel. They're great. They're wonderful. But at the end of the day, it's Universal's decision. So if Universal decides to say, hey, Jason, sit down, shut up, worry about putting the production team together and making sure it runs smoothly, and we'll worry about the distribution. It's possible, guys. It absolutely is. Like I said in a video the other day, if it does get backed up, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be shocked. I'd be a tiny bit surprised considering what we're being told. But again, Halloween Kills is slated for an October 2020 release, and that's what they're aiming at. And again, if they wanted to tie their wagon to a winner, they'd attach that trailer to Tenet. The question is, do they want to wait to the end of July now? I don't know. My prediction is look out for that 5-day San Diego Comic-Con virtual panel. It's going to be huge, guys. Huge. Be a good place to debut it. Drop a poster first, debut the trailer there. I know that's like a month away still, but we'll see. I'm telling you, from the people we've talked to, they have the marketing campaign lined up. Everything's ready. It's not like they still have I's to dot and T's to cross and X's to mark. It's all ready. It's just the question of, do they press the launch button now, a week from now, 2 weeks from now, or if disaster hits and it does get backed up. But there's three things I'm absolutely willing to guarantee you. Number one, this movie will absolutely not come out exclusively on VOD, and you can quote me, you can mark this down, you can do whatever you want with that information. But there's no way this movie's going exclusively to VOD. It's not happening. It just isn't. There's too much invested in it, guys. And number two, if our sources are saying the marketing campaign's about to start and that they've decided that they're going to release, then there's something else that's holding up this from being started. What it is? Not entirely sure. But our sources tell us the marketing campaign is literally right around the corner and shit's about to get real. So hold on a little bit longer, guys. Hold on a little bit longer. Comment down in the comment section below. We want to know what you think. What do you think about Tenet? Are you excited to see Tenet? I am. I mean, I love Nolan movies. But does, the truth that came out about that movie and why it's coming out when it is actually Christopher Nolan, does that now change your opinion on when we might get Halloween Kills? At the end of the day, it doesn't for me, but it does show the tug-of-war that's going on between distribution companies and production companies right now. Everybody's at war with everyone. You even see it over in baseball right now. It is what it is. It's the world we live in 2020. Anyways, guys, if you want to keep up to date on all of our Halloween content or horror content, Star Wars, Supernatural, whatever it is, take a second to click the subscribe button somewhere down here. I can't see it as I'm recording, and we would appreciate your support. This is Fandom Empire, fandom content for the fans, and yes, that man right there, that nice soft hair, so soft. The Boogeyman is coming. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. See, this is why I'm so riled up. I said bye-bye. I got ahead of myself. And I can't do this because people, are supporting us financially. If you want to join the Patreon, you can join it for as little as $2 a month. Big shout out to Joey, Toronto Freddy, Joseph, Nick, James, Matt, Brianna, Kenny, Brian, Reno, Aaron, Jim, Chad, Greg, Matt, and Marcus. Sorry for almost missing you guys. It's just that sort of day. We weren't supposed to do another video, but we're dropping it anyways, and it ends up being a long one. Twitter is at FandomEmpireNow and at SWRenegades. Instagram's FandomEmpireNow. Camp Haddonfield Podcast, the very first episode of the Camp Haddonfield Podcast, guys, is debuting this Friday. The future of Halloween. What comes after this trilogy? I sit down with Johnny from Fandom Empire and we dive into that a great little half an hour conversation that you'll be able to find on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, all that good shit. And guys, thanks for this again. Yeah, like we said, that guy's coming. And leave a like, drop a comment, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for putting up with our shenanigans. And hey, if you don't like our content, that's cool. But those of you that do love our content, thank you for the support. It means a lot. Don't forget, Halloween 6 Revisited editorial launches tomorrow. We'll see you then. And there is some kills tidbits attached to that. Good night, everybody.